the final cup of the race class. And I think in terms of the upgrades I have on this thing, I am strongly convinced in saying that what I have right now should be enough to get me through to the street class. As I am showing you my upgrades and what I have fitted to this thing, I think we should be fine from what I can see. And yep, that's all good. I could put on the racing anti-roll bars if I really wanted to, but I don't really need them at this time. And got on racing tyres and racing brakes, because I do. And in terms of the body, all I really have is the racing chassis. Well, I suppose just to beef up the strength a little more, yeah, I'll put in the roll cage. Just because I want to make this thing look like it is a race car. And I'll probably, yeah, let's put that on as well. I think I do have a good enough race car now. As I was previewing the upgrades and tuning I just did, and also the upgrades I just purchased as well, because why not? Just to strengthen the car a little bit. But anyway, there we go. So it is time now for the Special Racing Fields Cup. And then once we're done with that, we can then focus on the bonus events that we have for this. So it's a 6-race championship, like with the previous one, as we begin at Mid-Ranch 1. Racetrack, running along the outskirts of the Grand Ranch. The route takes you along country roads, hemmed in by farm machinery and hay bales. 3 laps for the first race, as it looks like all of these are taking place in the countryside. In other words, we are racing in very rural areas. Although I suppose the clue literally is in the title, because it says Special Racing Fields Cup. So I guess that also makes sense. I just figured I'd do a little tuning to this thing, because I imagine the street class is where things will get more expensive, just as they did here. Except for saying the prices weren't increased by that much, they were only increased by, well, at least twice the price that we would get from, well, the Derby class. As I get a power hit on Jack. Jason is right behind me and tries to force me out wide, however I am having none of it. My car is clearly stronger than his because I have 4-wheel drive, and I hit the truck. Really had to step on the brakes there so that truck did not give me any further problems. Jack is right there in front of me, and he has just reset. So doing a good job so far. Jason is currently second. Jack just got wrecked again by Sophia. And Sophia is now up into second. And she is closing in on me, the leader. And Jack is wrecking again. So suffice it to say, he is not having a good day. And he's right behind me again. I swear to God, with how fast he is, it's almost like I'm racing Max Verstappen in a way. Because you know he's always going to be there. when it comes to contending for wins. And not just because the man is a serial winner, but also because he arguably is the best driver in the field. I honestly would argue he's quite similar to Max under those regards, even though I did force him out wide. But then again, that's more or less what you have to do in this game. It's basically one of those games where you know murder is almost the only answer towards beating your opponents. And the Lentus has succeeded me again. And I also got the fastest lap as well by a second. So Jason finishes P3, 4.1 seconds behind me. Sorry, P2. Sophia finishes P3, with Jack in P4, Frank P5, Ray finished in P6, then Katie was P7, and at the back was Sally Taylor in the other Lentus. Let's now move on to our second of 6 races. And then once we're done here, we can then get on with the special events, because why not? So only 1 power hit in the end, however I should get a credit bonus for the fastest lap. And I do. 300 credit bonus. Those are your other stats, as I'm now back up into 5 figures. So it's myself over Jason and Sophia in race 1, and Jack is currently 4th. And there's the rest of the order so far. So let's move on to race 2 at Farmlands 1. Speeding around a great lake, this race takes you into wide open farmland and recreation areas suffering from flash floods. I figured I would read the descriptions again because, well, this is the longest cup in the race class, and I have a feeling it's going to be the same case with the street class as well. But anyway, currently 1 win so far. I'm probably not going to get the sweep, but I reckon if I get 4 out of 6, then we should no doubt be in a good position, as I get a power hit and a super flip on Katie, and I immediately run into a motorhome. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and pretend whatever happened before did not just happen. Because in all honesty... Oh. And apparently I got a super flip on Katie. And I hit the same motorhome again. No, wait. Wait, yeah, that is a motorhome. My mistake. That's definitely a motorhome. As I am back up into P3. As this time we've got 2 of the 3 girls leading us. And I get spun out by the gate. In other words, I get killed by the gate. More or less, is what happened there. I basically got killed by the gate. But either way, I am still battling among the leaders. Which is precisely what... And that, I think, was a trailer I hit. I was really trying to crash out Jason there for a second. And I actually drove through the river. That actually surprised me. Although then again, the track description does say the area is suffering from flash floods, so I'd assume that's what that is. Probably a river created by flash floods above everything else, which is why the water was rather shallow for me and my Lantus. And the start-finish line stand has completely been torn down. But either way, I am still in the fight. And can I get through? No, I cannot. And I think Jason ran into the motorhome. And that was terrible. That was just terrible. Can I please get past Jack? Yes, I can. Just. Okay. Not bad. Just gotta keep it together and then we should be fine. And there we go. 2 wins on the trot to me. As Jason finished in P3. And Sophia wound up being second to last, even though she did also set the fastest lap. But whatever, it's fine. 2 races down, and we still have another 4 to go. Yeah. And only 400 credits in the end. Oh well. Those are the race rewards. Ray gets 2, 1 to Sophia and the other one to Katie. So not too much of a payday this time around, but it's okay because I now have a 6-point lead over Jason, and Jack now moves up to 3rd. As we now head to Midwest Ranch 2. Lakeside route that passes through a wooden bridge under repairs, a large farmyard, and barns. Let's see how we go. Suffice to say, these upgrades I have fitted so far do seem to be doing the job. And that's what I want them to do. Because they work, and because I like them. I also just remembered this is episode 20. After I did my counting. But anyway, I'm right behind Sally as I give her a slam, and I also spin her out. Frank now moves up to 2nd, and Sally gets racked again. Let's see what happens. As Sophia is trying to recover from the mistakes she made before, I force her out wide for a second, as I take to the outside lane as always, but this time with a 4-wheel drive car I have better handling, and I storm right past her, as I would have guessed I would. So suffice to say, I did leave it until a good time to fit the nitrous upgrade. I think that's what seems to have worked for me. And Jason is now right behind me. I don't think this is going to be quite the clean sweep, but I reckon if I get 4 out of 6, then I should be fine. Because that pretty much is my goal over what expectations I have. Although the expectations I have a lot of the time aren't really notable expectations. I just have the expectations that tell me to get the best results I can. And to also win where it counts. Which a lot of the time is what I do pretty well. As I get a snap of oversteer on the corner exit, probably from the lockup I had on the brakes, and I get a power hit on Jason, including a slam, I think. And here comes Ray. He tries to pass me, he is not successful, and he goes into the wall. That's your order so far. And this time, I am gonna head this way, just so no one attempts to cut me off this time. And I'm a little slow on the exit, but I won't be denied victory. A hat-trick of wins for me and the Lantus. Which means that puts me in a really good position. Also, didn't Sally finish nearly a lap down? Because judging by that time, I would have said she was nearly a lap down. Anyway. I win by 1.4 seconds over Jack. Jason is 3rd, with Ray 4th. Sophia finishes 5th, with Frank 6th. Katie 7th, and Sally in 8th. You know what, yeah, I will get my replay here. I think this is a good time to get one, from what I can see. We're pretty much halfway through the Special Racing Cup, and so far, I would say my job is going really well. Although I may not be winning race in, race out, I am still securing wins where I need to secure them. And I think it's because I know how to score those wins that I am very much the benefactor of winning where it counts. Because consistency, aside from winning where it counts, is what wins you championships. At least that's what it is in most sports. I also quite like how when you take the long way round, you can quite literally blitz the AI. If they briefly pass you, you can basically just repay the favour by doing the old switcheroo. And that, to me, is just what makes it funny. The fact that you can literally get overtaken for a split second and then basically just take the position right back. It's almost like taking candy from a baby. It's just so easy. It's literally just so easy to pull off. If you're able to put it that way. But I think it's fair to say my Lentus is proving to be Mr. All Reliable. From what I can see. Okay, 2 laps. I think that should do it. So we're now halfway there with the Special Racing Fields Cup. And I think if these other 3 racers are going to tell me anything, it's that they are just going to be me making sure to score whatever points can be scored. So 2 slams, 2 power hits, and no bonus rewards from the top drivers. That's fine. And so Jack is now up into second, as I now have a 9-point lead as a result of me scoring the hat trick. Jack is second with 21, and Jason has now dropped down to third with 20. And we have a tie for 5th between Ray and Frank. Anyway, let's now head over to Farmlands 2. This route takes you into the rural areas, cutting through a homely farmyard and amongst the peaceful scenery. And we are doing 4 laps. So just gotta do what I have been doing, and just making sure that I keep scoring points. I do now have a 9-point lead, so I think at this point, points are still very much all to play for. Would be nice to get 1, maybe 2 more wins, but at this point, I'm basically just free to have fun. I know I don't necessarily need a sweep at this point, because I already have a 9-point lead at the top. I'm just going to try and have fun, because I have already won half the races anyway. That's basically all I'm really doing. Just making sure that I'm always there at the end, and that's one bridge I cannot hit. I do have a sizable gap at the front, so right now, I think that's where we'll be doing some good, I hope. And I hit the bridge. However, I do get the slam on Jack. Jason is pretty much in a league of his own at this point. I honestly expected that to happen sooner or later. But I did get the first 3 wins where they mattered, and that is why I now have a 9-point lead at the top. So winning at this point doesn't matter as much because of my advantageous lead. I am going to lose a few points at the top, but I have won half the races already, so it's not going to affect me too much if I don't win. Still pretty close, but as long as I finish on the podium in the remaining races, that's probably all that really matters. And my car flips over. That was a bad landing. And I mean, a very bad landing is what that was. But I did manage to reset my car quickly enough. Also, is Ray a lap down? I strongly think Ray might be a lap down. A lot like what Sally was in the previous... a lot like what Sally was in the previous race. I think he might be a lap down, from what I can see. He's definitely a back marker in this one. As I give him a little spin, and... is that enough for the overall record? Yes, it is. As I managed to put Ray a lap down. So Jason wins race 4, I finish 2nd, and Frank takes home 3rd. Then we had Jack 4th, Sophia 5th, Katie 6th, Sally 7th, and Ray finished 8th. And judging by the timing, a lap down is what me thinks. But anyway, 4 races are now done. I will lose 2 points at the top, but that's okay, because I should have a big enough lead to just keep scoring, and that's all I really need. So 400 credit bonus for 2 slams and 1 power hit, and I also get both the fastest lap and bulldozer awards, as I'm now up to 12 grand. So 38 points at the top. Jason has now closed the gap just a little bit. Jack is still 3rd, and this time it's Frank who moves up to 4th in his truck. Then we've got Sophia 5th, and Ray is now down to 6th. 2 races to go, as we are now at Midwest Ranch 3. Race through a large ranch featuring tight turns around barns and fields. I think as long as I keep finishing on the podium, then that's pretty much the only thing that really matters. I still get a decent haul of points. As long as I can keep finishing inside the top 3 or the top 4, then I think we should be fine. I think as long as I score a top 3 in this round, then I should clinch it on points. And already I am off to a bad start. However, Jason is off to a worse start. Which is a good thing for me, because it means that I am ahead of the one guy who could still theoretically beat me. And that's a tree. And Jason is now ahead of me again. However, if he is able to keep this within 10 points, then he should still be in with a shout. However, I think considering my recent point scores and knowing how I've always managed to find a way of finishing in the top 3, I think that's going to be something I'll very much want to keep alive as I run into another tree. I don't know what happened there with Kate, but that was definitely quite a wreck she had there. That caused her car to go lopsided. As I forced Jack into the crops. So I'm right behind Jason. It looks like he is going to close that gap again if the positions stay the way they are. However, I am still in contention for potentially finishing 2nd. Although if I know Jason, he is going to give me a fight. And it does not work out for him. Nope. Sucks to suck, I guess. So that means I am mathematically gonna clinch a race early. Can I please get back on the track? Yes, I can. But crucially, I finish ahead of both my rivals, Jason Walker and Jack Benton. So that is pretty much championship clinched. If it comes down to a tiebreaker, I'll still win, because it'll come down to win difference. I would have 3, Jason would have 2. And it was Ray in the end who set the fastest lap. Meanwhile, Sally was able to finish 4th in that race. And Sophia was pretty much the class of the field. But either way, we're still managing to score where it counts. And it's normally coming down to me being the most consistent driver that ultimately pays off. And 400 credits for getting 4 slams. And no bonuses for the top driver awards, unfortunately. But that's fine, because I will still get a big payday once I am done with this cup. So, 46 points to 36. I am strongly convinced in saying that I have got this thing locked up. Because even if I do finish last, I will still win by at least 1 point. Because every position counts for scoring points. So 46 points to me, 36 points to Jason, 29 points to Jack, 26 points to Sophia, as we've now had 2 different winners in the last 2 races. 18 points to Frank. We've got a tie for 6th between Sally Taylor and Ray Carter. And Katie, well, she's just being, well, Katie. Okay, whatever. Final race of the race class. Farmlands 3. Get ready to crash through the local greenhouse community and pass by the beach camping area for 4 laps. This will be the race that ends the race class. So one last race in the Special Racing Fields Cup, and then we should be no doubt on our way to getting through the special events I have to do. So Ray leads, Sophia 2nd, and myself is 3rd. And I get a power hit on Ray, sending him into the backfield. I think Sophia hit the motorhome, which is why she dropped back. And right now, I am slipping and sliding as I get back on the road, as both Sophia and Jack sweep their way past me. And it looks like there's going to be a bit more chaos before this is done. That is very possible from what I can see. So Ray runs wide, now gives me the spot to fight for the lead. Sophia now is squabbling for the lead as she goes ahead of me, and I land in the river. And that was terrible. And Jack goes ahead of me, However, I make sure to slam him out the way as I get caught off guard. I don't know what Jason is currently doing at the moment. And I got a blast out hit on Sophia. That was incredible. So 2 laps down as I get a slam on Jack. And now here comes Sally in her wrecked Lantus. Needless to say, that car is not serving her as well as it is me. So Ray is the current leader, and once again, I get a power hit on Sophia. That is unbelievable. 2 big hits on Sophia already. That is unbelievable. And Katie is currently in last, as I check the leaderboard. So Ray leads, myself in second. I don't quite set the fastest lap this time around, and Sophia is out. And then there were 7. However, both Jack and Jason are once again behind me, so it really doesn't matter what they do at this point. And I get a blast out on Ray. And Sally is now up into second. Just gonna hold my line, and then we should be fine. And a little bit loose there, but able to hold on. And it looks like I am gonna win. Or maybe not. I finished P2. Well, either way, I still managed to score 3 out of 6. At least I can say the Power 2 worked. So, just ran wide in the crops on that last lap. Caught out by the wheat field, I think. Right there at the end. So, Sally finished 3rd, with Ray 4th. Jason wound up finishing 5th, with Frank in 6th, Katie 7th, and last. And Sophia ultimately DNF'd after I put those 2 power hits on her. I think that technically should give me the Best Wrecker award, because I effectively caused enough damage to, in some cases, take her out, even though it wasn't me who necessarily got her wrecked. But whatever, it's fine. I still won, that's all that matters. Well, I still won on points. So 7 slams, 2 power hits, and 2 blast outs. I think that should be enough to give me the Best Wrecker award from what I know. And yes, it is. It's enough to give me 3 out of 4 of the top driver rewards. Best Wrecker, Blastmaster, and the Bulldozer award. Meanwhile, Jason got the fastest lap. Too bad it was too little too late for him to beat me. But anyway, there we go. 3 firsts and 3 seconds in the end of that. Winning by 14 points in the end over Jason. And then Jack finishes 3rd, with him scoring 2 seconds, and then eventually a win right at the end. Sophia, as a result of her damaging out of the finale, finishes 4th with 27. Frank wound up finishing 5th with 21 points. Then it was Sally in 6th with 20 points. Ray Carter 7th with 19, and it was Katie Jackson who finished in last with only 14 points. So, I can definitely say these results have provided a lot of parity, and certainly enough chaos. But either way, that's the way the story goes. 3 firsts, followed by... 3 wins, followed by 3 runner-ups. It's cool. What's important is, as I scored 3 golds and 3 silvers, like I said before, I get a 5,500 credit bonus, and I should also get a bonus check for clearing the race class. Oh yeah, so first of all we've unlocked Crash Alley, and what we've also unlocked is the Insata. Oh, that's it. And 15,000 credits is what we get for completing the race class, as we have now unlocked the race finals. So there we go. 2 classes done in terms of their cups. I still need to do the bonus events, however. And yes, I have decided for the demolition events, I am using the Lentus. I am not falling for anything else. If I want to win this, I basically need 4-wheel drive. And that's what this thing is. So, let's go and have a look at the car we unlocked. Yeah, here it is. The Insata. I think this is the car that we won for beating the race class. In a similar way to how we unlocked the demon for beating the derby class. Well, it makes sense. Still, I wonder what street cars we do get. So we've got the Chili Pepper, the Scorpion, the Insata Sport. Ooh, I quite like the Sparrowhawk. I think that's meant to resemble a De Tomaso, if I'm not mistaken. At least I'm pretty sure that car technically is a De Tomaso. I refer to the Pantera now, if you're asking. Yeah, that definitely reminds me of the De Tomaso Pantera. And Crusader. Old school American muscle is what me thinks. It's going to be really tough to decide which car I use next, because I think all of them look good. However, right now, I barely have enough money for any of them. So, we're obviously going to do the events underneath the cups next, just so we can get some bonus credits. I think it is useful for us to do these. So, that's what we're doing next time on FlatOut 2.